Hey, fourth grade, it's Mrs. Andre here today, and Gary, my kitty cat. I am filming this at home because why not? I have a day to do it. So, this week, our lesson is all about Native American art. Now, word in the school is that you've already started doing some Native American studies in your classroom. So I figured that would be a great tie-in to doing some Native American art and being inspired by some of the art that we have all around the nation, all right? So, here's a little bit about Native American art. All right. If you know and if you remember from your studies, Native Americans have been here for thousands of years, and their art is very diverse and different depending on where they live. So, tribes on the East Coast on the ocean would be very different than the ones in the Great Plains. So, art really reflects the time and place which it was made. And it really depends on the tribe, the group of people, and where you are. That's how art usually works, depending on even if it's ancient cave art, if it's ancient Egyptian, if it's in the 1800s. It just depends on where you are, time and place. Today, there are still Native American artists, and traditionally speaking, when Europeans first came to America, traditional mediums used, so those are the things used to make art. Traditional mediums would have been beadworking, jewelry, weaving, basket weaving, pottery, carving, kachinas, masks, totem poles, drums, flutes, pipes, dolls. Native Americans were making lots of different types of things depending on where they were from, all right? But if you look at some of the art today, today, Native American artists are still making art to reflect that culture and where their heritage is from, but they oftentimes today, for their art, try to remind everyday people that they have a history, how their history played out, and how their people have been treated unfairly and had their rights and land taken away from them. So when you see Native American art today, it usually has a little bit more of a heated side to it, where you're trying to remind your viewer that life wasn't always fair for them, and things need to be made right for that. Okay, so these are two that I found that I thought were kind of thought-provoking, which is what art is supposed to be doing. The first is a photograph called Changing the Way We See Native America. It's a photograph by Matika Wilbur. And the second image is called Last Thanks, and that's done by Wendy Redstar. Okay, both of them have different meanings, so if you want to think and look and analyze a little bit more on your own to decide, what is the artist trying to tell me or show me here? All right, I'll let you do some self-reflection on that if you would like to. All right, but today I really wanted to hone in and get really focused on an artist from Wisconsin, from our area, and I want to talk a little bit about Harry Whitehorse. Okay, he was born in Wisconsin. He was born in Black River Falls in 1927, so that was almost 100 years ago now. And he was born in a wigwam in the Ho-Chunk tribe. Okay, he had a very long life. He passed away in 2017, so he lived a very long life and was making art through most of that time. He was a member of the military. He served in World War II, but besides that, he also made a lot of paintings. He sculpted metal. He's created wood carvings, and a fun kind of art he did. He made custom cars with some of his metalwork. All right, here's a picture of him with one of his pieces of wood sculpture of that he created back around when he was still alive. And the one that we're going to be using for inspiration today is this painting. I picked this one. It's called The Spring Song of Lake Monona, is because this is actually pretty close to home. All right, Lake Monona is maybe a half an hour drive for you from Waterloo. And if you wanted to actually go see this painting, you could. It's in the Monona City Hall. So it's a painting right next door for the most part. All right. So let me quick get out of here. So today, what we're going to be doing a painting. If you have paint, this will be great for us. We'll be on the right track. However, if you do not have paint, you can kind of follow these steps along and use markers or colored pencil. I would actually recommend colored pencil for this because we are going to be mixing some colors, and it's pretty difficult to mix markers at this point. So give me a couple minutes and I'm going to be getting set up to do some painting with you. All right. All right, fourth graders, I'm all set up and I'm ready to paint. But before I get started, I want to give you a quick disclaimer. I'm at home and I have a cat and a dog. So if you hear a dog whining, he's in his kennel and he wants to come out. And if cat randomly jumps on my computer or on my painting, I might have to quick move to get the cat out of the paint. All right. So let me switch over to my smaller camera that's over here so you can see just what I'm doing. Okay. You're going to need a piece of paper. You're going to need a pencil. And like I said, if you have colored pencils and you don't have paint, grab those. But if you have paint, you're going to need mostly blue, a lot of blue. You're going to need some green, a little bit of white, and a little bit of black. All right. So let's switch over here. Da-da-da. And let's see what we got. All right. So for this painting, let's see if I can back this up a little bit. Da-da-da-da. No. There we go. For this painting, it's going to look a little something like this when we're all done. Okay. It has a very blue sky, a dark blue watery area, and kind of a darker green grass. This canoe part we will be adding later, so don't worry about painting a canoe. We're going to draw that and add that in later. All right. So I'm going to find a better spot for my camera because I can't paint with a camera in my lap. All right, so I'm gonna move this out of the way for now. If you are painting, it is a very wise decision to actually tape down your piece of paper so it doesn't move at all. All right, so when you're putting tape down, I think using cardboard for a background helps. Otherwise, if you could just tape it to a piece of newspaper and put it on your table so you don't make a mess, that would be great. But you're going to need some masking tape here, and you need a ripping tape. Rip a decent chunk. And when you're trying to rip it off, you pinch and you pull your hands opposite directions. Like that. All right. And then when you put it on your paper, you want to try to see half the paper underneath it and half the cardboard. So when I push down, you can see there's paper and then there's cardboard. I kind of have it half and half. So it's on the paper, but it's also keeping it flat on the cardboard. All right. So what we're going to do, we're going to start with a pencil. All right, because we're going to draw two things to give us an area to paint in. The first thing we're going to do is going to paint draw a circle in the sky. That's going to be our moon. You can kind of put it on the left or the right or wherever you want the moon. I would say probably not in the middle though, because that is a little, it's so easy to see that you want to make people look around your painting. I'm just going to draw a circle. If you're like, ooh, that's a good circle. I don't know if I can draw a good circle. Find something to trace. You could take a cup. You could take anything really that's circle and trace it. A tape might be a little too big today. So if you find a little circle, that'd be easy enough to trace. You can trace that. The other thing I want to do is we're going to add a horizon line in here. That's where your sky and your ground meet at that line. So it's just one long horizontal line. Okay. There. Now we have some guideline as to where we're going to be painting. All right. So sky, water, ground, moon. All right. So from here, you're going to only need one paintbrush, and you're going to use this one paintbrush, the whole thing. You're not going to clean it or do anything between because we're mixing colors. All right. So we're going to start with blue. As you remember, if you see here, most of this is blue. So you're going to need blue the most. All right. So I just brought a little cup home from my stash at school here. Take that cover off so don't make a mess. And we're going to start with the sky first, and it's only going to be blue. Okay. So I'm going to get a big glob here, and I'm going to paint all across my sky. Okay. We're staying above that line. And we're going to do a careful job not to get our moon filled in, because we want to just leave that as our white paper this time around. Okay, because if we wanted to paint white on top of it, white on top of blue just will look like a light blue and not very white. So paint carefully around the moon, and then everything else you can go pretty fast. And I'm actually going to fast forward here so I don't have to waste your time. If you want to pause the video here while you're watching, please do. All right, now sky is done. We're only doing the blue sky. Keep it simple. You can see while I was painting, I tried to keep my brush long and all the way across the page. It helps make the sky look really nice and big. Now, the bottom half. Sounds a little goofy. We're gonna do all blue, but we're also gonna get our black out for this, because when we start doing our blue, we'll mix a tiny bit of black in. If you do too much black, it's gonna actually get too dark. So what I'm gonna do with my already blue paintbrush, I'm gonna kind of spread some of my leftovers down here, grab a little smidgen of black, and I'm gonna spread it everywhere. And you can see it's very, very black. But from here, I'm not gonna add any more. I'm just gonna grab some more blue and mix it in. So your goal here is to make a very, very dark value of blue. And a value is the lightness or the darkness of a color. So our blue is still blue, it's just darker. All right, we're gonna paint all the way to the bottom of our paper. Even though we'll have some grass there eventually, but that will help make our grass darker too. All right. This is pretty quick. We just mix this in, maybe a little bit more blue, because we want it to look more blue than black, right? And try to get a nice, even dark blue. Right? Dark blue, normal blue. It's the value of blue. All right, make sure you get all those little white spots that got away on us. All right. So from here, we can put the black away for now. We don't need it. Goodbye, black. And hello, green. All right. Now, you still got a dirty paintbrush. That's okay. Don't wash it, because we want it to be a darker green. Okay. Move that back in here, darker green. So with my dirty paintbrush, I'm going to open up my cup, and I am going to just go get a big glob of green on top of there, and I'm going to paint it just right at the bottom, maybe just an inch at the bottom here. And again, I'm going all the way across to make it look like a dark value of green. Okay, I'm just taking my time here. That's all you really need. It's going to probably dry a little lighter or a little darker depending on your paint, but we'll take it. Looking good. All right, yeah, that's my fault. All right, from here, you're probably asking, well, Mrs. Fondre, why do we have white? We haven't used it at all yet. Well, today's the day to use the white. So from here, using white with a very dirty paintbrush is kind of dangerous, because it's gonna make your white not stay white for long. So from here, if you wanna clean your brush, please do so. I'm gonna go wash mine right now. All right, it's still not perfectly clean because I knew I would still be working, but I got most of the color out of it. Put my paper towel over here because you don't want to paint with a super wet brush right now. So the white, if we look really closely here, is the reflection of the moon in the water, okay? So when we do this, we're not going to use the flat part of our brush as much. We're going to use the very tippity top of our brush. So let's get that white paint out. I'm going to just go tip right in the end. I'm actually going to scrape some of it off, okay? And from here, I'm just going to go tap, 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 and kind of make it look a little more wavy, okay? My brush, you can see, is sticking out all over the place, so this is a good brush for making like trees. So when I'm making my waves, it looks a little bit more fuzzy. But if you have a nice clean brush, it'll make it look a little more like waves. Okay, I'm gonna have to use the side of my brush just a little bit so it looks a little bit more like waves. Okay, add a couple of those in. Put a couple out here because light doesn't just stay under the moon, right? But it's mostly by the moon. All right. So from here, we're gonna take a break from painting because that's it. That's all we need to do. I'm gonna switch back to my computer camera for just a minute so you can actually see what I'm talking about. All right. So from here, you can actually go wash your paintbrush because we're done painting. Like I just mentioned earlier at the beginning, we are going to be doing a canoe separately. So while your painting is drying, depending on how much paint you use, you can take your paint, your painting, if it's on a cardboard or a newspaper, and just move it out of the way. You don't need it right now. But I am going to talk to you about how to draw this canoe shape because it's kind of shaped like a banana a little bit. We'll talk about that. So let's get into that. But first, before you start, you do need a piece of dry white paper to do this, all right? And a pencil. When we get to actually coloring and decorating the canoe, you could use markers, color pencils, crayons, whatever you like. But right now we're just gonna do a pencil because we're just starting out. All right, so I can move some of my paints out of the way. And from here, we're gonna draw a canoe shape. I'm gonna get my canoe over here just so you can kind of see what I'm talking about when I'm mentioning stuff, okay? So the front of my canoe, if I do from the very tippity top, I curve down and back, almost looks like one of those Nike swooshes that you see on tennis shoes, all right? So we're thinking Nike swoosh right here. So I'm gonna start on the side of my paper, and I'm gonna go curving line down to kind of look like a parenthesis, right? Kind of like that side emoji smiley face here. And I'm gonna curve back a little bit, okay? So just a curve in the front, connecting to a long bottom of your canoe right here. Because the back is also another parenthesis going the other way. All right, from here, we're gonna do another one, but it's gonna be maybe a little smaller because it just goes from tippity top to the back. So from the very front of my canoe, I'm gonna dip down a little bit, and then I'm gonna swoop down and up. All right, so that's the outside of our canoe. But you can see I actually added kind of an inside of the canoe, so you could hop in the canoe if you wanted to. From here, we're gonna add one more kind of straight line that swoops up. So we're not doing an up swoop at the beginning. We're just going straight and then swoop up. So I'm gonna find a spot about somewhere in the beginning. I'm gonna go straight back and I'm gonna swoop up again. And from here, I do two big diagonals, one in the front, one in the back. So right here, whoop, whoop, and one in the back, whoop, whoop. And to make it look like you can actually step into the canoe, I draw little vertical lines going straight up and down. So I'm gonna go line, 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 line. And it helps you kind of trick people into thinking that you could go into the canoe. All right. So from here, you can see what I did. I added an extra stripe down the side of my canoe to decorate it. If you want to do something like that, that's fine. But here's a trick for you. You see how the front area right here is bigger than the back area? You're going to be kind of tricking people to think, okay, that's the front because it's closer to me, so it's bigger. And if we go back to the end of the canoe, it gets smaller because it's further away from you. So if you want to do something like that, you can start with a very simple line going around the back of the canoe. And the second line is the important one because that's the one you have to think about getting smaller. So I'm going to start big, and as I keep going back, I'm going to slowly get that line going closer and closer together. All right. I put triangles in mine, but you could do stripes. You could do thick and thin stripes, maybe. You could do those triangles that I was talking about. These are just ideas. You don't need to copy these exactly. Maybe you want to do zigzags that go up and down. Maybe you want to do wavy lines. Maybe you want to do circles. It's really up to you how you want to decorate this. All right. From here, once you're happy with your canoe, you can color the outside for sure with a marker so you can see it really well, and then color it in. All right. Once this is done, and once your painting is dry, that's important. It needs to be a dry painting. You can cut it out and glue it right on the top. Yep, and there goes my puppy itching his collar. All right, so I know this was a longer video. We were doing a lot of drawing and painting, and we got a little time consuming. And normally we would do this in just one class. I call this fast and furious painting. I've noticed a lot of elementary folks, they get a little scared or a little timid when it comes to painting quickly, and that's one of the best things to do when you're trying to mix colors. If you were here during our Vincent van Gogh / Day of the Dead project where we painted the marigolds, we had to go really fast for that. All right, so I'm trying to get people used to like fast is okay. You don't have to go slow all the time, which, you know, slow is good for a lot of occasions, but sometimes for painting, you really want to mix your colors. And if your painting dries, then you can't mix it, all right? So if you have any questions, concerns, comments, please let me know. Like I said, paint is really great for this project, but if you want to use colored pencils, you can just color one of your main colors down and then switch colors and color over the top of it with a different color. And it kind of mixes. Not as easily as paint because that's gooey and wet, but it mixes colors all the same, all right? Please submit these into the Google Classroom, or if you're having problems with that, send me an email so I can mark it off in my book, all right? I can't wait to see what your Song of the Monona looks like. Happy creating!